By the time my sister's wedding weekend started, I already knew how to survive my family. You learned early not to react quickly around my parents. Anything emotional became proof you were difficult. Anything painful became evidence you were too sensitive. My sister Claire never had that problem. Her feelings entered a room like official announcements. The rest of us adjusted furniture around them. I was 38 when I finally realized the adjustment never stopped. The rehearsal dinner was held at a renovated vineyard outside town, the kind of place my mother suddenly loved. After Claire started following interior designers online, everything smelled faintly of eucalyptus and expensive candles. My parents moved through the crowd, glowing with purpose, introducing vendors and discussing. Floral costs like they were hosting a political summit. Claire's new house came up constantly. The kitchen is finally finished. The marble took forever. The custom lighting changed everything. Every conversation somehow circled back to that house. At one point, my son Ethan wandered over to me holding a bread roll in both hands and asked, "Mom, when do I get Grandpa's comics back?" I looked at him. What do you mean? The boxes from Nana's basement? Dad said they sold them. He said it casually. Kids do that sometimes. They walk into your life holding a grenade like it's a toy car. I found my husband near the bar. He immediately knew why I was looking at him. I thought they told you. The noise of the room suddenly felt very far away. Told me what? He hesitated too long. Your parents sold the collection in February? I actually laughed once, not because it was funny, because my brain rejected it completely. Grandpa Walter had spent 40 years building that collection. Vintage comics sealed in protective sleeves. First edition signed copies. Old correspondence with collectors. He started buying them as a teenager after his father died. During difficult years, he sold furniture before he sold comics. When Ethan was born, Grandpa began telling everyone the collection would belong to him someday. Not me, not my parents, Ethan. I found my mother near the outdoor heaters talking about flower arrangements. You sold Grandpa's collection. Her face changed instantly into annoyance instead of guilt. That was always her reflex. Lower your voice. So, it's true. We needed help with Claire's renovation cost. Needed. The word almost impressed me. That collection belonged to Ethan. It was sitting in boxes, collecting dust. It wasn't yours. My father appeared beside her, already irritated, as if he'd been summoned by conflict itself. We intended to replace the money eventually, he said quietly. With what? Neither answered that. My mother said the thing that finally broke something in me. Honestly, your son is 12. He would never have appreciated those comics the way Walter did. Not cruy, worse than cruy, practically like explaining weather. I remember looking around the dinner space afterward while people laughed under string lights. Servers carried wine glasses past us. Somewhere, Claire was taking engagement photos near the vineyard fence. And all I could think was, they truly believe this was normal. I didn't scream. Years ago, I probably would have, but middle age changes humiliation. It becomes quieter. Gramp arrived late. He walks slowly these days after hip surgery, one careful step at a time, wearing the same dark gray suit he'd owned for years. Ethan rushed to hug him first. I watched my parents tense before a single word was spoken. Grandpa noticed immediately. He had that ability. He'd spent decades reading rooms before entering them fully. What happened? Nobody answered. Claire suddenly became fascinated with fixing her napkin. My father looked toward the band, setting up equipment. So Grandpa looked at me instead, and for the first time in my life, I didn't protect them. We stepped away from the tables toward the vineyard railing. I told him everything quietly, no dramatic pauses, no embellishment. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he stared out across the vines for several seconds. Then he walked back inside, poured himself a drink from the bar, and took one slow sip. No anger. That frightened everyone more. My mother approached carefully. "Walter, you sold property that wasn't legally yours." Her face emptied. My father tried recovering control immediately. "Now, hold on." "No," Grandpa said softly. "You hold on for once." The room around us continued moving. Glasses clinked, music tested through speakers, but our table had gone completely still. Then Grandpa said something I'll never forget. I spent years thinking favoritism was something families outgrew. Nobody spoke. The comics were placed into a trust 6 years ago. He continued for Ethan. Claire looked confused. My mother looked pale. Grandpa took another sip of his drink. Some of those issues were individually insured and registered. Through the estate attorney, my father's voice dropped. Walter, he contacted me after the auction records surfaced, and there it was. The moment control left the family, not through shouting, not revenge, authority, paperwork, consequence, real things. Claire finally spoke. Wait, are you saying? I'm saying, Grandpa interrupted gently. That part of your beautiful kitchen may legally belong to a 12-year-old boy. Nobody touched their food after that. The wedding happened the next day anyway because life is strange and momentum is powerful. Guests smiled. Photographers arranged people into neat rows beneath autumn trees. But something irreversible had surfaced. My parents avoided me almost entirely. Claire cried once in a bathroom hallway where she thought nobody could hear her. Grandpa stayed polite through the ceremony, though he looked older by evening. No one apologized directly. Maybe they couldn't, without admitting how long the pattern had existed. Like, a week later, attorneys became involved. Assets were discussed, repayment schedules, tax implications, all very adult, all very calm. And somehow that calmness hurt my parents more than anger ever could have. I still think about the wedding photos sometimes. If you didn't know us, they'd look beautiful, successful, family, elegant venue, parents smiling beside their daughters. But I remember standing there realizing something quietly devastating. Love inside a family can disappear long before the family itself